For some children, school is very tough. In fact, just going to school is a traumatic experience.
But there's one school that can take kids with severe social or academic problems and make education a different experience for the child and the parents. Kirk Clyde explains in tonight's cover story, the fourth R, relationships.
It's a pretty typical looking school building, but what isn't so typical is what some of the kids have to do to get there.
Well, I live about 40 to 45 minutes away.
Wow.
Columbia, Maryland.
An hour.
You live an hour away?
Yeah.
We live in Hampstead, which is about 17 miles from the Beltway.
Morning, Jimmy.
We have to leave about 45 minutes before we're supposed to be here.
Why do some go so far just to go to school?
Because the school helps people concentrate and work, and it's really a good deal and everything, so it's worth it because you learn more.
The school is very different. Stephen used to be in public school, and he just wasn't getting what he needed. Children with ADHD have many more issues than just attention deficit. There tends to be a very large social issue, and they get labeled in schools, and you know how cruel children can be.
Yeah, a lot of them did make fun of me and stuff, and it was, I mean, like everybody in my class would make fun of me.
Yeah.
And it just, that doesn't happen as much here.
Many of the students at Baltimore's Norbell School, like Stephen, are dealing with attention deficit disorders.
There are some children with attention deficit that do not have social difficulties. A great majority of them do. They don't interpret what other children are either saying to them with words or through body language. And very often these kids are isolated, and it's not by choice. And then the isolation oftentimes leads to poor self-esteem.
Last year was his first full year here, and in the past 8 months, he has just made incredible strides socially.
A child with attention deficit may appear to be more daydreamy, have difficulty focusing, having difficulty staying on task. Whereas a child with attention deficit with hyperactivity, the ADHD component, it does not necessarily mean that they are hyperactive and they're running around, but there is an impulsive quality. School is not always a user-friendly place for kids with attention deficit. There are so many distractions, it's difficult for them to hold it together.
Well, I was getting kicked out of the class because I couldn't focus.
They find that they're getting in trouble all the time.
For most students at Norbell, public school was not a place where they could succeed.
For many of our children, they really would be failing. They would not be able to manage academically. They'd be frustrated. In some cases, they really would be acting out of frustration.
And it's a smaller school. There's less kids, less frustration.
When I came to Norbell, they put me on my level on what I could work on, and I wouldn't have to be so confused in my work.
And I don't feel left out like I did in public school.
For Anita Hendricks, life is very different now that her son David is at Norbell.
David, before he went to Norbell, got so bad about going to school, he didn't want to go to school. We'd have big tantrums in the mornings. He was really miserably unhappy.
Even with all the problems David had in school, his artistic talent helped pull him through.
I like this one. She's psychic.
She's psychic?
No, she's a telekinetic. Whatever.
And David's artwork, as wonderful as it is, really was that kind of sustaining lifeline for him when he was trying to negotiate a school environment that wasn't as prepared for him as it needed to be.
He has more friends now. He's happy when he comes home from school. And like Mom said, he's not having tantrums, and I don't have to listen to him.
Norbell has individualized education programs for each student, and they teach relationships.
Well, we really have a curriculum that works on helping the students really understand themselves, understand consequences for their behavior. We have a reinforcement system that helps give them real cues in that direction.
Students earn either chips or points for good behavior.
The teacher asks you a question that's real tough,
And I get it right, and I could get 1 chip or 2 chips.
It really seems to work with our kids. We find that they enjoy earning them, and they buy things at store with them, and they also earn specials and different trips. And
It takes a lot more to get through life these days. You've got a lot of smart kids that can't function in society because they haven't been taught the tools they need.
If you're worried your child isn't being taught the tools they need, what can you do?
A lot of parents don't push for the resources that are there.
The key is for parents and teachers to be proactive on behalf of the child.
And be prepared and not be afraid to go and consult with attorneys to get the kind of placement that is appropriate for your child.
For some, Norbell was the perfect place to both learn and develop self-esteem.
Well, I'm thinking about going to Poly or Pikesville High School for next year.
Since I'm doing so well, my mom is thinking about putting me back into a public school.
In Baltimore, I'm Kurt Clyott, Fox 45 News at 10.
The annual tuition at Norbell is approximately $13,000. However, some limited financial assistance is available, and in some cases, public school systems actually will foot the bill.